Chance for Torquay! Chris Hargreaves, the captain! If he stays onside, Carlisle checks instead. He's looking for Benyon. Sells!
Hello, welcome to part 2. We've asked you 2 questions. The first one, so if we can keep the lone players, has this goal scorer got enough quality to push away from the relegation zone? Very good poll, Don. Well done. So we've got 48.5% said yes, 51.5% said no. What do you lot think? What did you click, or what would you click?
Tom?
I click no. I don't see enough, even with the new loanees that we've got enough to get out of trouble at the moment. It's just, I haven't seen any real quality, especially in the mid sort. It needs some new additions.
Yeah, I agree. I think after that Aldershot game, I might have said yes. I've gone, yeah, this is all we need. Because after the Aldershot game, I was buzzing like, yeah, this is. But then you realise, we did catch Aldershot cold that night. We were brilliant. But then since then, I don't know. The
results haven't really gone our. They've not gone our way. The results, have they?
We're improving, but we still need, or we were improving, but we still need, for me, a bit more, another creative player or two. We still need a couple more creative players. You can't just rely on De Silva to do everything every game. So
I think it depends on
another
the
striker. We need another striker as well.
I wasn't sure whether to click yes or no. It was a good question.
I would put no.
Well, the answer to me is relatively self-explanatory. We're bottom of the league, so no.
Fair enough.
Because if this squad was good enough, we wouldn't be bottom of the league, would we?
No. I mean, you could say with like the current known players who've only been in the last 3 or 4 weeks. But
if you're telling me Dan Martin comes back and he hits the form last season, it's a ifs and buts. And if you're telling me Corey Andrews becomes,
but when we went down under the last team, we had some good players that should have not gone down in that team.
A left back coming back from injury doesn't keep up, though, does it?
No,
does it?
With our injury record as well, it's just
that's the trouble.
There's not enough creative players,
and you can get them all in form. You're all right, aren't you?
There's no Lemon Evans or Little or anything like that. Even like 30-40% of them would do.
Yeah.
So,
but
you need wholesale changes, and you're not going to get them because you've got a squad. There's only so many changes you can make. Which position would you prioritise? What if you could have one player?
Again, but one player can make a big difference. You look at the difference Sinclair Armstrong made last year. Look at the difference that Duke McKenna made in
I'm saying, who would you prioritise, Chris, if you had to choose one?
It's got to be a forward because we're not scoring enough goals. Somebody of the ilk of Armstrong coming in now would be a game changer. Big, strong, physical, holds the ball up, brings people into play, which Jarvis is doing. But he's just not doing enough and you've got to get some width and pace in the team.
Yeah,
you look at that team, and there's just no. Everybody has a bit of width and pace in their team. Even Barnet did, to be fair. They had a bit of quality, a bit of pace up front. But you've got to get some pace into this team because as it is,
take an Armstrong, or you take a Conor Lemonhay to play behind the.
For me, it's like a Conor Lemonhay. For me, it's like Conor Lemonhay. We need desperately because then he can bring kind of Jarvis into the game a bit more. Can bring Wern and De Silva if they're still around into the game a bit more. I think our resounding answer is no to this poll.
So it's a tough balancing act as well because again, you can only have 5 loanees, can't you, any one time playing?
That's the trouble.
So you can bring players in on loan, but then you've got to take some of those out of the squad.
Yeah.
It's at the moment I'm on a no, but
signing players isn't easy.
Exactly.
Whether they're loans or look at that. We tried that. That lad from Barnsley, Cameron Thompson, is a free agent, somebody who's been training with us. Well, let's sign him on, see what happens, and he's gone again already.
Yeah, so I thought
it's really hard. It's hard. He looked all right. Did he look like anything better than what we've already got?
I mean, he was a winger with a bit of pace to take anything at this stage.
I think the trouble is you're looking at a squad, don't you? And we had 3 centre-backs who have been on the bench recently who doesn't want to play. So that's just a real waste of the squad at the moment, isn't it? You just
cannot
afford numbers
that aren't going to... Exactly, you can't afford... You can afford maybe 1, maximum 2 at this level where players you're not going to play. Why are you signing players like Tomlinson? You're never going to play him. Like Omar Clee isn't good enough now. And midfielders you're not happy with. He's an absolute shambles. Anyway, so let's go to your replies. Troy says, Defo, I'm reading wrong. Definitely 3 points needed versus Gates said, If not, then I'm afraid a change is needed, and manager-wise, as much as it pains me to say it, this squad's not good enough for this league. Yeah, fair enough. John says, I think we do. Just need more legs in midfield. Always seems to be overrun and give opposition so much space. If we can make a loan or two permanent, we may even start with like Smith and Evans. And yeah, I agree. Like we need to try and make like an Ellis, you realistically try and make permanent one. I feel like Grimsby aren't just going to throw away an asset straight away. And then, as you say,
he's going to have to juggle it, isn't he? I don't think we'll just keep all these loans, will we? Now he's got to juggle it around, and there'll be some ins and outs. And yeah, it's bound to change. I mean, if assuming Gary's still in charge, he'll have to juggle it and try and come up with a winning combination. I mean, you can't just keep it the same and hope for the best.
It's difficult though. It's difficult when you're juggling, new players in the squad.
Very difficult. Difficult for those players to catch up and get wise to Johnson, as he always says. David Caldwell says, maybe time to call it guesswork for a day. Is there not a sporting director or someone at the club who is evaluating progression? And it's true. Just no one above Johnson. There's no one who's like looking at progression of players and they're thinking that. It's just, you're right, David. It's just nothing at all, honestly. Martin says no, it's simply not good enough. Straight to the point. Thanks for that, Martin. We basically said that as well. Paul says need to keep Wine and Silver's priority, zero creativity and attacking threat without them, and still short someone to put the ball in the net. Yeah. Rachel says worryingly, even with the introduction of loans of Alice, Ness, the Silver, Wine, we look short on quality. And that's true. Like they're good players, all of them. Very good players. Evans back. Perhaps the unlucky Smith for introduction, but 20 games, even the last few games, unconvincing, and despite the occasional good spells and games, poor performances. Yeah. Pete, if a whole squad, including loanees who need to stay until the end of the season, stay fit, possibly, but they won't. Sadly, we need a handful of additions, including so we can put the ball in the back of the net. Yeah, we can actually, we just need more. Alan, yes. We did everything but score yesterday. It's only a matter of time before things go away with this team. Hit the post and some good saves from the Barnet keeper from the highlights. Chances 6 for Barnet, 16 for Torquay. Goals 1 for Barnet, 0 for Torquay. Thanks, Alan. Nice, very nice balance view.
Same as the Derby stats. So you look at the Derby stats and look at that and say, what was the score? I think you'd say 5-0, would you? But it's about taking them again, isn't it? All of a sudden, from scoring goals, more goals than you can, throw a stick at, as well as conceding them. We've now not scored for 2 games. And you start thinking, all the play, all the possession, all the ball, all the opportunity, and we've not scored again. 2 games in a row. And it's kind of back to where we were a couple of weeks ago almost.
And it continues to be the truth game after game, doesn't it? We've tried. We've had a few goes. We could have done better. We could have had more points. We could have. It's always that. It continues not to happen, though, doesn't it? And it can't continue to be like that.
Yeah, Zach got 2 more on this one. Zach said, no, midfielders miles off and forwards ain't scoring. Same old. Very true. Tom says probably, but it's time for a new manager. Thank you for all of you. And thanks to all the people that voted. We'll go straight to the second question. But this morning, would a defeat by the end of the Gary Johnson era this weekend? It's annoying having to add such sort of questions, but we have to ask it because part of it, 68.8% of you said yes, 31.2% said no. Now, the ones that said no, I know that a few of you will most probably be going, it should do, but with our owners, realistically, will it happen? And I agree. That's what I personally think. That I love Gary Johnson, but I feel even at any other club, he probably would have gone realistically. And this weekend, there's no coming back from that. But I also know that that's what I almost put as a third option. That will GI do anything? No. I'd be very surprised if they do. I mean, I was surprised when we got rid of ours and got Johnson, but maybe, I don't know. I feel like they would have done.
They will if they have to, but I think they really have to be pushed into a corner. We've had a few big games, haven't we? In the FA Cup when we were 2-0 down, didn't we? We've had a few games where he's just scraped the results, and I do wonder if he might have gone at that point.
But when you say pushed into a corner, how is he going to be pushed into a corner that we're not in already?
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. But I think it has to be a bad home defeat to that lower league, lower down the league team. You're supposed to win against. So if we were to lose on Saturday,
I think so.
That could be.
I think maybe you could say maybe the FA Cup has kept it going for a little bit longer.
He's just had those fruits of promise, haven't we? through that win against Aldershot and the derby result.
But at the end of the day,
I think it's just been enough
to get out into the Football League, and we're 24th.
We're in trouble.
I think it's such a hard thing to decide to look at it, because I mean, again, if all this talk of it costing 60,000 to sack Johnson is true, then I'd rather they gave him 60,000 and said we're going to spend it on the squad and kept him as manager. And it's always I said to Dom on Saturday, it's all whenever players leave, when Little and all the rest of them left. Yes, it's it's all part of the churn of being a football fan, isn't it? But I always say, let's see who you get instead, because it might just be better. Now, clearly in this situation, that's not happened. But I mean, who would you get in instead of Gary Johnson? Who theoretically? But it's interesting. I'm starting to hear more kind of view that
there's definitely more murmurs to.
There is, but more about the methodology, isn't there? A kind of his views are outdated. The football we're playing's outdated. He hasn't got a clue how to relate.
It's the recruitment. Like, it's the thing. You say going 60,000. I agree with that statement. I'd much rather have 60,000 into the squad. But I'm sorry, but his recruitment's been pretty diabolical, I'm afraid.
Yeah. But is it how much of it is about it goes into how much you think is about ability and how much you think about is how you're managed? Because if you put Pep Guardiola in charge of this Torquay team, would they be infinitely better? Well, logic says yes, they would.
Yes.
But does a new manager come in, whoever they are,
no, I agree with that,
be able to get more out of the squad of players in a different system, or spot something that would make a difference? But
I mean, you say that, but look at
the jeopardy, isn't it?
Look at Yeovil.
Sacking a manager.
Look at Yeovil. They brought Mark Cooper in, and instantly they're a bit meaner, a bit, they're miles.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe.
But again, as I've said all along, my view hasn't changed. It goes on results. And the owners of a football club, if this was my football club, I'd be bloody worried, because we're bottom of the league and it goes on results. We've won 3 games out of 20. We're bottom of the league. That's the fact.
And there's
I think they're in
no footballing structure in this football club. That's the biggest worry.
I feel like they're in quite deep with Gary Johnson, aren't they? I think they've got a pretty good relationship with him, and they really want to keep him there as long as possible. I don't know if it's the financials, you'd have to ask them.
Yeah, but they're paying enough solid wage for him, probably, on the other side.
Maybe, but I do feel like they believe in him so much that they're giving him every possible chance.
Of course you do. It's Gary Johnson.
Yeah. But what's more... I was going to say, what's more expensive, though? Paying, getting rid of Gary or getting relegated into the National League South? What's going to cost us more in the long run?
So that's when you've got to argue what is causing the downfall.
Yeah.
Is it like the...
But, I mean, Chris has had 3 wins in 20.
Yeah.
3 wins in 20. The York manager got sacked last week, didn't he, for being 12th in the league? There just doesn't seem to be any ambition at this club anymore.
That's why I'm just falling out of love with this club.
Yeah.
It's been bad, but when the whole club's just rotten, it's just... It's horrible.
It's just sad. We never expected, did we, to be in this predicament where Gary Johnson came in, turned the club around, and we all thought he was going to get us back into the Football League and he can retire, into the sunset. Should have done that. And now we're in this predicament where we're bottom of the National League, and again a defeat on Saturday, and
I think it's easy to be it's very easy to be emotional about it, though, isn't it? And say the club's rotten and there's no guidance structure and all of that. We had the same guidance and structure when we were in the playoff final. We should have won that league 2 years ago. So it's easy to be kind of emotional about it when things are as they are, and absolutely right, because the situation we're in now is rank, but nothing has changed from 2 years ago. It's the same manager, it's the same structure. Yeah, absolutely. But I think for me, the worry for me is the next 6 weeks. If we're in this situation or not a lot different, in say after the Yeovil game on New Year's Day, then you're probably, say we're still bottom of the league then, and you're probably 6, 7, 8, 9 points adrift. You go into the new year in this situation, both kind of in league points and in terms of how far you are, and this kind of win, lose 1, draw 1, get hammered 1. I don't know, because if we go into the new year in that position past halfway, it starts to become a long way back.
Yeah,
I'll just quickly say that 5 replies to us. Thank you again for these people. 170 votes as well, by the way. Rachel says, any other club owners were back to by now, talking like to though. But loss on Saturday, even scraping a draw should be the final straw, already 4 points adrift. Jane says, I love Gary, but he needs to go. Sad crying emoji face. Paul says, should yes, would probably no. I agree. Bob.
I saw that one, and that is a key one, isn't it?
Yeah.
That is from a footballing sense.
And
yes.
Bob said the same. Would
question mark?
I've said no. Should might be a different story. Tom says, think even by our owners' standards, a defeat on Saturday will be the last straw. And another Tom says we can't leave it any longer. Thank you all.
Presumably, the people making these decisions, there must be a point in their mind where they know that has to be it. Now, whether that's losing on Saturday, maybe
team that's down there. That's what I'm saying. I think this could be the tipping point. But let's hope it's not. Let's hope we win, of course. But
it's must win, isn't it? Got to win it. Simple as that.
Yeah.
I've said that so many times. I've said that so many times this season already. But it really is a must win.
Yeah. And I think Gary has to win it. We don't have to win it to be safe this season. We can still win games, but I think he has to win it to prove something to fans that we're going in any direction upwards. Because I think he's losing faith. I can see supporters are getting it.
I think even a lot of people like us, who are very behind, even gone like, yeah, you know what, I love Gary Johnson, but I can't defend it anymore.
They need to win because it's a serious Wade family outing this weekend. My sister's coming down for the weekend, and all the children are coming, so it's going to be an excellent day. The last game my daughter, who's not a huge football fan, went to, we beat Wealdstone 5-0. So you heard it here first. Maybe it's her we need.
Hope Gateshead fans enjoyed their local derby this weekend.
That was my title joke, and I didn't even make it up. I nicked it from Gateshead's page. So,
but we are going to win 4-2.
Oh,
very quick.
Very good on you, mate. I reckon we'll draw 1-1. Repeat of the Ower season when we drew 1-1 to Gateshead and went down, and then we drew, and everyone went, "Oh, we played all right," and I went, "No, we're rubbish. We had to win that game, and we got relegated." So. Netflix were there that day for their losers documentary.
Oh yes, they were. That's right. I remember that.
That's right. Yeah.
Come on, Tom. Tom's got his thinking face on.
Head and heart, mate. Head and heart. I mean, I got the Barnet score right, just the wrong way round. I'm sorry, lads.
Yeah, that's not very good, Tom. If it's the wrong way round.
No.
Sorry.
I'm sorry, lads. But 3-1 Gateshead.
Oof.
At last, some sense in that, well done.
But we're still winning the league by 20
I'd like
points.
to know if De Silva's playing. If he's back, then I feel a bit more confident. Yeah, what has De Silva got? A hamstring strain or something?
That's not a 1 week thing.
So he'll be out. He'll be out for 3 months.
Yeah, 3 months. So
players don't tend to come back after a week, do they?
He'll be a week from fitness for the next 3 months.
I'll say 2-2.
Pop out on the fence, draw.
Yeah. And then it will be sat on the fence again, and we'll be like, "Oh, is Gary's time up?" I went, "No,
I won't want to say anything because if we win,
it'll just bubble along. I feel.
And then if we win, it'll be like, "Oh, look, people doubted him," and you know, no, have to win.
It all comes back to the summer for me. Construction a team. I mean, we can't have two terrible summers and expect to be a good football team, can we?
Yeah, you know, I just can't.
20th place.
I just going back to my point. Would you trust Gary Johnson? I'm sorry, I just don't. He's done it all before in the past, but right now in this climate, in the last 2 years, it's a disaster. I'm going to sound ridiculous here, but that National League South team.
How many players have we bought the last 2 summers? I mean,
that National League South team was mainly put together by Gary Hours, awful manager, not saying anything else. Gary Hours, and then the Bristol City link. I'm sorry, but let's face the
facts. It's quite often the way, though, isn't it? If you look at Leroy Rossini's successful team, very few of those he signed. You look at, they were all McFarlane signings, weren't they? People like Lee Canaville, Alex Russell, they were all...
Like, you're going to get Duff signers, you're going to get a Chris Regis, but, like, he still signed some good Torquay players in there.
Yeah, absolutely, he signed Ben Winton, didn't he?
And exactly, and the thing is, and they saw all that, and Dixon, and in that team that went down, if you look back at it now, like, they were awful to watch, but that's because he was managing them. But that team that went down near the end wasn't a bad team. Like Vincent Durrell walks into this team. You know what I mean? Like Reece Healy, before his injury, he's banging it in for Toulouse in France.
There
are some good players, and there's some good players on loan if you look at that team that went down. So
Yeah, Gary says he wants us, to play exciting football and reward the fans. Well,
oh, what was it? The old line? What was it? Oh, football's entertainment business.
Yeah. Well,
the most entertaining thing about the game is me going home.
I've been to a lot of games down the years, going back to when Keith Alexander was manager of Lincoln, and I came away from it thinking, yeah, they've won, but would I want to watch that every week? But I'm starting there's a part of me now that starts to think I couldn't give a monkeys how we play. It's about winning some football matches. All of a sudden, I just couldn't care less. I like watching flash throwing football, like the old shot game, pass and move. And
well, we've tried playing all out attack, haven't we? And that got us so far.
Time to get nasty and win some games.
Tried to be more defensive on Saturday, and we still lost. So can we find
this team?
Right balance?
This team needs to learn how to win ugly, because at the moment we're just losing very ugly. So. Oh well.
So I'm just going back to that point, right? Of that Torquay team that got relegated. This is why when we go, we've got a few good players. That Torquay team that finished this came on the last day of the season, right? Durrell, I think Robbie Herrera brought them in before I was in. What a keeper! I thought he was absolutely brilliant. Efete, remember him? Was that an hour's signing? Did Dowers bring him? He was decent. Barnes, that he did all right. He's not a bad player at all. Liam Davies, that was a Nico signing.
Yeah,
I love Liam Davies. McGinty, right, that was a Nico signing. Luke Young.
McGinty wasn't that bad
at times.
He wasn't that bad at times. He really wasn't.
Luke Young, Hargreaves signing, but Gowlin passed it. Nicholson signing. Great career though, great track record. Elliot
he was like a lot of these players, wasn't he? Yeah. Good on paper.
Yeah, Elliot Remain. I loved that.
How he passed the medical.
Oh yeah, Elliot Remain was so good. Brett Williams, second spell at Brett Williams. That didn't go too well, but first spell Brett Williams. Oh my god, what a player! Lemni Evans, he was on loan. Reece Healy on the bench. You've got Keaton and Reed. I won't read out the other three. Oh, Ryan Clark was good, but he was a bit past it at that time. He didn't have a good time mentally, I don't think, down at Torquay.
You don't expect every player to be good.
Exactly. What a career.
You've got to get at least 50%.
And then Balatoni and Kulwowski, I can't pronounce his name. But
Jan Krakowski, he looked like a decent player as well. He was crap for us, wasn't he?
Yeah.
On paper, and again in his early games, he looked decent. He was terrible.
I remember seeing him play one game. He played 90 minutes. He only touched the ball about twice. He was, He was nowhere,
what my point is that we can look at this team and go, there's some good players there, but there's some good players in teams that go down. There always is.
Yeah. You're never too good to go down there. It's a classic cliche, but it's true. You're not, because you go down if you don't. Yeah, because you don't get enough points, you go down. It's relatively simple, isn't it?
When you haven't got the system in place, when you haven't got the system in place that suits players, and you haven't got the right quality, you're in trouble, aren't you? And that's where we are.
Oh dear.
Must have been a happy one, isn't it? Well, we talk more than we thought.
I was going to say we can end it on a positive, Sam. Who are we going to get in the trophy? Because that's tomorrow, isn't it?
Bournemouth away. Go out first, first round available to us.
If you're going to tell me now we're going to stay up, I couldn't care less.
Yeah.
Bath away. Bath was a good day out, wasn't it? Bath away, good day out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Taunton away, please. Thank you.
Oh yeah, there's a positive to end it on. Alex Fletcher out of intensive care. There we go. There's outshines it all. So there we go. There's your positive. News. Keep fighting out. Great news and news today.
Yeah.
Right, I think that is it for us.
Here's Hargreaves, chance for Torquay. Chris Hargreaves, the captain. If he stays onside, Carlisle checks instead. He's looking for Benyon. Sells.